Hello everyone, Science Viking here, and you may notice I am playing a different game. This is not going to interrupt the Myth Let's Play, but I decided that in addition to that, in the interest of getting a bit more content up and diversifying my content portfolio, I would in addition do a Let's Play of XCOM Enemy Unknown, specifically the Enemy Within expansion. Now, what I'm going to do is actually going to be slightly unusual. I am going to be doing a Ironman playthrough on normal difficulty. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, the Ironman option is a special feature of this game that makes it so that you only have one save file, and the save file will actually be updated constantly as the game progresses. So if you make a mistake that is going to have consequences down the line, you're just stuck with it until you actually get a game over. And I'm just going to do this as one long playthrough on Ironman difficulty. So instead of trying to record a particular segment multiple times to get a good take, I'm just going to play through this game and we'll see what happens. I may make it to the end of the game. I may wind up being horribly murdered by aliens well before that. Let's see what happens. Single player, normal. Advanced options. Ironman. I am going to have the tutorials turned off, however. But I do have Ironman, which, as it describes it, play with a single save that is updated automatically as you progress through the game. In an Ironman game, your choices and their consequences become permanent. I will explain some of the I'll explain the mechanics kind of as we play through. I'm not going to go through the tutorials because I think that would just take up a whole bunch of time needlessly, and I wouldn't have a whole lot to say during them. Hopefully the frame rate of all of this won't be too bad, and I suppose I can re-record the first part if something goes wrong. And let us begin the maiden voyage of my lovely new microphone. Those who play with the devil's toys will be brought by degrees to wield his sword. The quote for the base game without the expansion is, there are only two possibilities. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Either option is terrifying. Both are very good quotes. Getting all close to the mysterious alien object is bad. Yeah, you really do not want to be that guy. That is somewhat surprising. The frame rate has returned to normal.
Hello, Commander. In light of the recent extraterrestrial incursion, this Council of Nations has convened to approve the activation of the XCOM project. You have been chosen to lead this initiative, to oversee our first and last line of defense. Your efforts will have considerable influence on this planet's future. We urge you to keep that in mind as you proceed. Good luck, Commander.
That is a very cool intro. Alright, and the first thing I get to do is choose what continent my base is located on. Each continent grants different bonuses. There is a second way to gain each continent's bonus. However, if you start with a continent, you receive that continent's bonus immediately, and there is a second way to gain each continent's bonus, which I will explain later. So for North America, we have air and space. All aircraft weapons cost 50% less to purchase, build, and maintain. For Europe, we have expert knowledge. Laboratories and workshops cost 50% less to build and maintain. For Asia, we have future combat. Projects in the Foundry and Officer Training School cost 50% less to maintain. To explain, we use aircrafts to shoot down UFOs. Laboratories and workshops are used to develop to research alien technology to understand it better, giving us various advantages. The Officer Training School and Foundry allow for special projects that make our forces stronger in various ways. South America, we have ways. Autopsies and interrogations are completed instantly. That is significant because normally it takes a certain amount of time, and time is valuable for reasons that will become clear later. And Africa, the simplest bonus of all in. Monthly XCOM funding increased by 30%. I'm actually, I think I'm going to go with Africa. I've done Africa before. I personally feel like I like the versatility of this bonus. It's consistently useful no matter what stage of the game you're in. South America's bonus is only really useful right at the beginning. Asia's bonus is pretty much only useful towards the end, at which point you can acquire it through the other method. By comparison, no matter what part of the game you're in, just having more money is always helpful. Well, let's do this.
We're heading to South Africa for this one, and we need to get down there fast.
And that's the
We've picked up a local broadcast indicating alien activity within a major metropolitan area. We should get down there and eliminate any hostiles.
Okay, launch the mission. And yeah, we have this really cool intro of our aircraft landing and depositing all of our troops.
Strike one, this is Central. You are free to engage all hostile contacts in the AO. Don't take any chances.
Alright, now, something I have to warn you guys all about. Videos may end kind of abruptly, because VidMe doesn't allow me to have videos that are more than half an hour long, and I don't want to try and cut a video in the middle, so I actually have a timer in the bottom right corner of my screen telling me how long, that's off screen for you, I'll crop it out in the finished video, telling me how long I have been recording so that I know when to stop. But I may like I said, I may wind up stopping kind of abruptly. So, I have my group of soldiers here. I only have 4 of them and they're all rookies, so they're relatively simple. And, let's head in. I'm going to approach here, and I'm going to open this door and see what's inside this building. And the answer is, nothing, apparently. So, you stay near the window.
Heading to that location.
The way it works is, each soldier gets 2 actions in a turn. The blue outline represents how far they can move in 1 action. The yellow outline represents how far they can move in 2 actions. They're allowed to move to the yellow outline on the beginning of their turn, and it's just called dashing, and that's their entire turn. Or they can move to the blue outline and then perform actions like shooting, using a medkit to heal an injured ally, things like that. So I usually move them twice, because the idea is I move them the first distance, and then I see whether or not there are enemies nearby, and then I move them the second distance. Alright, you explore
Already there.
Here. So for the moment, we're just kind of gonna fan out a little bit to see if we can locate the enemy.
Affirmative, moving out.
My frame rate has consistently been a little bit low on the recording, so I don't know how that will look in a finished video. But this may wind up not seeing the light of day, depending on how I think it looks. Alright. I'm going to start by moving this soldier way up here to try and get longer range view to see if I can
That's what we're looking for.
Okay. Behind here, I'm going to see if I can rotate the camera around to show it. It's inside the truck is an object called a meld canister. It contains a substance called meld, which is highly useful to us, so we want to get it. First, I'm
heading there now.
Here. Second, let's see, who should retrieve the canister? Because it's pretty likely that there will be combat between, there will be enemies near there, so let's start by moving you. Oh, and there's the second meld canister, which you can get right next to immediately.
Rolling out.
So, let's go straight for that.
That's what we're looking for.
We have now located both canisters, and the fact that both canisters are in the same area means we want to commit some troops to this area. So,
enemies in sight.
Get these two fellows over here, and our first enemy target. Yay! Okay. The shield indicates whether or not a particular soldier is in cover. A blue shield means they're in cover. A yellow shield means they're in cover, but an enemy is flanking them. So in this case, this guy is in cover from this direction, but the enemies are over here, so they do actually have a shot at him. Now, I'm going to have this soldier try and ambush those two sectoids from back here by going around this way.
Got something over here.
And that is not what I expected to happen. I did not expect there to just be...
They're flanking my position!
And now it's the enemy's turn, and hopefully some of our people will still be alive after this. Okay, mind merge. That is our first psychic power of the game. The way it works is a sectoid can use mind merge to grant a stat buff to one of their allies. And that's our first soldier taking damage in the game. The stat buff gives the recipient 1 extra point of health and may increase some of their other stats to make them more effective in general. However, if you kill the one granting the stat buff while the stat buff is active, it will damage the recipient, and in fact it will just straight up kill them. Alright, let's see. Can I hit the granter? 45% chance, that's a bit risky. Alright, so move to here where you're in cover and also closer to the target. 54% chance. That's still a bit risky for being the only soldier in this area, so instead I'm going to use a frag grenade, which is guaranteed to hit and does 3 damage, which is enough to take this thing out. The issue is, you actually get loot from the bodies of the and you receive substantially less loot if the enemy is killed with explosives than if the enemy is killed by other methods. Alright, got our first meld canister. And I'm just going to have this guy book it for the second one and hope that he doesn't wind up getting into too much trouble. Put him in cover back here. If you end a mission by defeating all the enemies or completing whatever your objective was before you, before the time runs out for the meld canister, then you're treated as having retrieved the meld canister. So, to see that, this arrow which is pointing towards the meld canister has a number in it. That number is how many turns I have before the canister self-destructs. I have to retrieve it successfully before that. Alright, I'll take that 66% chance. And it's a hit! That's a dead sectoid. Now this soldier. That's covered. Yep, hop down there. You may wind up being flanked, but I doubt the sectoid can one-shot you, so I'll take the risk. And 67%. Got it.
He's down.
Now we find him. And that was it.
If I may, Commander, the labs are on high alert. Teams are standing by for your orders. We can begin researching the newly recovered artifacts immediately.
Also, you get this brief rating of I killed all the aliens. I've never gotten less than an excellent for number of aliens killed, how many people we lost, nobody, and how many of the canisters we collected. And now we get to see the Sky Ranger flying back to the base.
Commander to the research labs. Commander to the research labs.
I'm currently staring at a plane. It's a very important job. Someone has to do it.
Welcome to XCOM HQ, Commander. I'm Central Officer Bradford. My role in this project is twofold: providing tactical support for our field operations, and keeping you briefed on the current situation. My efforts should allow you to focus on the bigger issues at hand. Speaking of which, we have a soldier waiting for a promotion in the barracks. I'll let you get to it.
Commander to the research labs. Commander to the
Alright,
research
and now it
labs.
zooms out and reveals the second half of what this game is about. Base management. First, we get a summary of how things went. Soldiers can actually essentially level up by getting various accomplishments in the field. So everybody...
Commander to the research labs.
I
Commander
know.
to the research labs.
So everybody who killed something has gotten a promotion. However, if a soldier takes damage in the field, that actually translates into them being wounded and not available for missions for a certain amount of time. So you want to... It's not just about making sure your soldiers survive, you want them to not even be injured.
The recovered artifacts are being unloaded, and the research team is awaiting your orders. We'll get started as soon as you give the order, Commander.
And now we have research projects we can perform. Alright? And this is the loot that we found. So we got corpses, we got weapon fragments, and we got meld. And this is the research that we can
Commander
perform.
to the research labs. Commander to the research labs.
Okay, you've been complaining about it for so long, I'll go to the research labs.
Hello, Commander. My name is Dr. Valen. I oversee the research labs. This is where all of XCOM's research and development takes place. We have already begun analyzing the artifacts recovered from our first encounter with the aliens. Based on our preliminary findings, we believe we can use them to develop some new equipment for our soldiers. With your approval, we will begin research immediately.
Alright, and now we can start a research project. We currently have 4 options. Xenobiology, which... These are all base level, so they don't have an immediate benefit. And they will all take the same amount of time. So we have Xenobiology, weapon fragments, alien materials...
Commander to engineering. Commander to engineering.
I just got to the research labs, quit complaining, and meld recombination. I'm actually going to start by researching meld recombination. I may have immediately made a mistake, but that's what I'm going to do, so sue me. Actually, you know what? No, I want to do alien materials. I reserve the right to suddenly change my mind. So, alien materials.
I agree. That does seem to be the most pressing of our current research options. We'll begin immediately. I will notify you when a complete report is available.
You do need to research meld recombination before you can actually use the meld that we've been collecting in the field, but you don't need to. There are other things you have to do before you're really
Commander to engineering.
Okay, I'll go to engineering. Happy now?
Commander. I was wondering when you'd be stopping by. Welcome to engineering. Anything they can dream up in the research labs, we can build it here. Speaking of which, Dr. Valen has just sent us some new schematics. With your approval, we will begin fabrication.
In engineering, we can build various equipment, which can then be used by our soldiers. So for instance, we can build satellites. Their purpose will become clear later. And we can also build and we'll get other aircraft we can build. And we can also build equipment. In this case, I'm going to manufacture a med kit right now. Alright? The other thing we can do from engineering is
Commander
build
to mission control.
facilities.
Commander to mission control.
You are really demanding. So the way it works is we have this underground base with various kinds of tiles. Some of them have been excavated, some of them have not. If you click on an excavated tile, you can see the facilities we're currently able to build. So I can build a satellite uplink, except I don't have enough engineers. I can build a power generator, which will generate more power, or I could build a thermo generator, which costs more but generates a ton of power, except that it has to be built on a steam vent. So, I can also build access lifts to access areas lower down, and I can also excavate areas in order to get more space in which to build facilities. So I'm going to start excavating this. And I am going to build an access link. And now I'm going to go to mission control. I was expecting a tutorial of some kind since you were so insistent on me coming to mission control, but there does not really appear to be anything to do in mission control. Why did you insist that I come to mission control? Next time you insist that I come somewhere, there should be a purpose. Anyway, the next thing I'm actually going to do is go to the barracks and view our soldiers. I have 2 injured soldiers who have earned promotions, and 1 non-injured soldier who has earned a promotion. The way that works is they gain experience from both, just like Myth, I guess, they gain experience from both surviving missions and downing enemies, and then they can level up, gaining access to new abilities. The way it works is they start off as a rookie, which means they have no class abilities and just use the generic assault rifle. When they level up the first time, they attain the rank of Squatty, which allows them to have a class. In this case, this one is a sniper, and gives them their first ability, which is the same no matter what. You get, in this case, headshot. Then, as they attain higher ranks, you get to choose one of 2 abilities for each rank. So the sniper has, obviously, long range, has an ability that increases the chance of getting a critical hit, but they can't move and then fire. We also have an assault. They use shotguns. Their basic ability, run and gun, allows them to move twice and fire once in a single turn. They're basically the opposite of a sniper. And then we also have a heavy, Lo Kwang, the heavy's basic ability is to fire a missile. These can be quite helpful. From the barracks, we can also hire soldiers, which will arrive as rookies. However, we don't really need to just yet, and we need to save our money. And from the officer training school, we can acquire various bonuses that increase the effectiveness of our soldiers. For instance, allowing us to field 5 soldiers instead of 4, and then later allowing us to field 6 soldiers instead of 5, and then making it so that new recruits are automatically squaddies rather than rookies, making it so that soldiers heal faster from wounds in combat, etc. However, each upgrade requires us to already have at least 1 soldier who has attained a certain rank, and for some of the better upgrades, that rank is quite high. So, this is part of what I meant when I said that something that reduces the cost of upgrades in the officer training school isn't particularly valuable early in the game. And for some reason we cannot access the situation room just yet. Anyway, I'm getting close to my 30-minute time limit. Well, I'm at about 23 minutes, but this is also kind of a natural break in the action. So I'm actually going to cut it here, so that's the end for this part. And I'll see you again next time with the next part of our Ironman playthrough of XCOM Enemy Unknown. Wish me luck, and I love you all.